All right, so option number two that I'm showing you, right? The idea of symmetry that grows from symmetry into an asymmetrical composition, right? So I'm still going to operate within this primary, secondary, tertiary kind of construct where I'm thinking about things as growing off of that primary element, right? So the first axis I'm going to generate is going to be in the basically the symmetrical center line, right? Simple enough. And colorization, I'm probably going to stick with a lot of the same things. In this case, I'm going to just spitball it and go with yellow. Okay. Because I want it to be primary, but I don't want it to be the primary, because the important part of this is that I want the deviation to be the most primary color, right? The first deviation. So anyway, this is primary. I get to the first surface that I'm going to start connecting, and that's also going to be symmetrical. And in this case, I'm probably going to do opaque, right? Put it right smack in the center, right? Symmetry, symmetry. Symmetry all day long, right? Not so beautiful. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think I want this to be the 33. Yeah. God, I have so many layers. I'm going to have to manage all these later. Let's see, put it on this layer. There we go. Okay, so second axis comes into play. It's my first deviation from the primary axis, or from the symmetry, right? Now it's starting to grow away from that symmetrical construct. So my second primary axis, or my secondary axis really, is this one. So it doesn't really matter, you know, you can compose it also vertically if you want. I think I'm going to stick with vertical for now to really, you know, just let it pop. Full bleed, also vertical, total 1 degree deviation from that. This will be on another layer. It's in the current layer. There we go. Okay. So then I'm going to start to need some more like secondary surfaces, and maybe at this point, if I'm just thinking through the narrative of it, but at this point, that secondary axis has deviated from the norm, but it still kind of wants to be symmetrical. So my next level of surfaces are going to be symmetrical in some way. In that case, I'm going to use my horizontal axis, and I'm going to mirror it across the horizontal axis. And those will be this one. Right here. I'll probably make that one 67. There we go. And another one right there. Is that making some sense?
Yeah.
Actually, these probably still need to be 33. All right. Still has some elements of symmetry. Not quite, hasn't quite fully gone crazy yet. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is start to really deviate with my tertiary axes from that idea of symmetry quite heavily. Okay, so that'll be these. We put it on an appropriate layer. There. I don't know where I am right now. There we go. Just going to sneak that one down to be a full bleed line. There we go. So even the idea that that's a full bleed line and it's off the axis a little bit is kind of, a huge slap in the face to the whole system. I'm not sure if I want these to be full bleed. Maybe I do. Yeah, I think I do. There we go. So then, lastly is that next level. I'm going to have 3. I'm probably going to do 3 of the small surfaces. Still 33% translucency, but they're going to be totally off axis in all senses of the word, right? Because now it's been fully developed into an off-axis system. So I started to go full bleed here, so I'm going to actually do that. Whoops. I'm going to do that here. Let me put that on the proper layer. Probably go purple. Want that to be here. There you go. It doesn't have to be a beautiful thing, right? We're gonna go through this process to try and develop something that is compelling, is clear, but not everything is going to be like a great and perfect composition, right? But here, you know, if I actually wanted to talk through why everything is in the position that it's in, I could, right? I could talk through, you know, this composition is all based upon that primary central axis. And if it really is all that important, maybe what you do is you bring it up to the foreground. You know, like after you've composed it, if that element is just not clear enough, then you make it a foreground component. Like that, right? You can play around with those things in order to get things to communicate the way you want, right? Now you can speak to it, right? The 2 primary axes are your first system of symmetry, right? The secondary axis is where it starts to break away from that symmetry, and those tertiary axes are creating a totally asymmetrical system, right? And they all grow upon one another. Can you see some of that in the composition?
Yes.
Are you just saying that? Okay. That's okay. It takes practice, but I think what's going to happen is you're going to do 1, 2, or 3 of these, and you're going to start to see it in your own. And then once you can kind of step back from your own composition for a while and then revisit it and still see it, you'll start to be able to understand how to look into some imagery like this and start to pick out bits and pieces of those underlying, you know, substructures for why they are what they are. Does that make some sense? Can you trust me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.